Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you live from Mexico here on December 2nd, 1920. We are reporting to you because General Alvaro Obregón has been elected president as of yesterday, and the Mexican Revolution has come to an end. There are many feelings of joy and happiness filling the streets here in Mexico because the people know that the revolutionaries have won, but there are also feelings of sadness and loss because of all the people who died for this cause and all the people who had an effect in this war. I am here to report to you the many occurrences that have happened over these past 10 years in Mexico to lead to this great day in Mexican history. Today we will go over the people, good and bad, that had an effect on this Revolutionary War, and we will begin with Porfirio Diaz. Porfirio Diaz was a military leader who came to power in Mexico due to a coup. He became a brutal dictator and took advantage of the citizens here in Mexico by taking their land. This didn't sit well with the Mexican citizens, and there were two groups that combined to take Diaz from power. Within 6 months, Diaz was overthrown and Mexico had entered upon a decade of fierce civil strife within the country. Next, we will cover Francisco Madero, who was part of the election in 1910. He was opposing Porfirio Diaz. In 1910, there was an election between the both of them, and the people voted, and Diaz won. But Madero knew the good intentions of the people and the reasonable opinions of the people, and he knew that something had to be up. So he called for the citizens to raise their arms on November 20th, 1910. Madero attacked Porfirio Diaz's military with guerrilla warfare, and in May 1911, Porfirio Diaz's advisors pleaded with him to resign before the revolution went too far. 6 months later, Madero was inaugurated president, following the freest election ever held in the country's history. The years following Madero's presidency were violent and chaotic, and things did not get much better. That's when Porfirio Diaz was the ruler of the country. Madero was finally overthrown by the army and assassinated early in 1913. Next we have Emiliano Zapata. He was truly a man for the people and of the people. He provided hope for the citizens of Mexico within the revolution. One of Zapata's major objectives was to get the land that was lost back to the citizens, and he never swayed away from this objective. Even though Zapata never found the presidential chair, he had many followers, and these followers wanted to help his cause and his objectives. So despite their inadequate arms, these people won many battles and beat many conventional armies. Another great rebel in the Mexican Revolution goes by the name of Pancho Villa. Like Zapata, he was a man of the people. He was always in the thick, urging on his men rather than directing the strategy from the rear. He was a very important person to the Mexican Revolution, and many people viewed him as a great man because of his actions. In 1914, a man by the name of Venustiano Carranza took over as the leader of Mexico. This was displeasing to both Zapata and Villa, and they planned to overthrow Carranza to right the people and citizens of Mexico. President Woodrow Wilson helped Pancho Villa for a short time to help bring down Carranza because he didn't like the way the leader was ruling. But after a short time, Woodrow Wilson withdrew his help for Villa, which led to Villa killing 18 Americans on January 1916 and 19 additional Americans on March 9, 1916. The United States came to Mexico to capture Pancho Villa in 1916 and 1919, but despite Carranza's help, they never found Villa. In 1919, Emiliano Zapata was continuing his guerrilla warfare in Morelos until he was lured into a trap and treacherously killed. This was the usual occurrence to many of the leaders in Mexico at the time. Pancho Villa avoided forces of American and Mexican descent and allowed himself to stay alive for many years, but he had many enemies, and it caught up to him in July 1923 when he was gunned down as he drove through the streets of Parral. These rebels were very important to the Mexican Revolution, and Mexico would not be where they are at right now without the acts of these very famous people. I'm Reagan Wright, signing off for today.